at this because they have mixed human genes with pig genes because they are saying that you create a pig, and if it's got some human parts to it, then it'll be easier to do transplants from taking the organs from a damn pig because the human organs have grown inside. I mean, and just think, this is something we could have in the grocery store and don't even know that we're eating it.
Yeah, genetically modified or altered food.
Yes.
And it started with the plants back in the 1700s when the explorers was going to different places and taking samples of plants from native indigenous places and taking it back to the labs of Europe and crossbreeding them. They started with the plants, you know, a couple hundred years ago. Now they done, like she said, stepped it up to the animals and the humans. But, yeah, genetically modified and altered, that is what they're doing.
Well, hold on, 610. I'm going to speak because I got some people on the line. I want to make sure I want to get to everybody if they have any comments. Hi, hello, caller. Are you there? Do you have any question or comment about the show?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing? This is Bond. How you doing?
All right.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to add on to what you guys were saying. I used to work as an inspector for the Wiccan Health Department. So, long story short, when you go into some of these bodegas, they would have expired formula. So a lot of women who get formula just pick it up and go. The kids get sick. They go to the doctor. Doctor prescribes them a medication. Long story short, in actuality, they didn't need the medication. Just turn over the can, powder or liquid, just make sure the expiration date is still intact. So when you do that, you can save yourself a lot of trouble. You know.
Not only that, I want to ask you, I hope if any women have babies that they don't want to breastfeed and they're feeding them the canned formula, or if you're planning to get pregnant by that canned formula, you all need to be aware, and you can Google this and research it. It's this product called the powdery substance, and it is a toxic, poisonous formula they use when they're dealing with commercial glue, and they use it in other ways on a commercial level called melamine. Melamine mimics the milk protein in milk. And it's colorless, and it has no taste. They are putting melamine in this canned milk, and this milk is killing babies. It started killing babies in China. People don't realize we're getting a lot of our food and our milk and our products imported from China, and they are poisonous. Melamine inside of this canned milk destroys a baby's kidneys. Many babies have kidney failure, and now they're even adults. They have this melamine, and they even talk about the artificial sweeteners that is made from funguses that is poisonous, like in these saccharin products, these artificial sweeteners that people think are better than regular sugar. Those things are causing people to go into kidney failure because they're poisoning the kidneys. The kidneys cannot process them, and a baby with tiny kidneys getting milk, canned poison milk 3 or 4 times a day, has their kidneys flooded with the melamine that is in the milk along with the wood alcohol. Have you heard of the melamine?
Yeah, I heard of that. I mean, it was a point in time where, what was that? I forgot, some brand of powdered formula had to be taken off the market, and it was only because in the Hasidic community in Brooklyn, you know, they feed their kids at that time a lot of milk. But that's a different story, and the kids were getting sick, and it was because of the fact of this particular brand of milk, which they wanted to use, which wasn't on the WIC program, had that in it. So they were banned from actually putting that on the WIC program because they had a lot of influence. They initially had it on, and then we took it off because it wasn't approved by us. And then also, like you were saying with the FDA allows certain things to pass through, like a certain amount of bugs are allowed to be in potato chips, a certain amount of feces allowed to be in meat and food when it processes. Don't think when you see people with their gloves on and their little hairnet that things don't get by. I mean, I remember working at McDonald's, the guy saw a beef patty would fall on the floor in filth. He would just say, brush on your clothes and put that back on the grill. That's money right there.
Wait a minute. So you're saying it's really true. So when we get ground beef, it's really a certain amount of shit ground up in that ground beef? Please believe it.
I thank God I got to see the way stuff works. And we had meetings. This is in Albany where I used to go to meetings, and certain things were allowed.
Did you see the movie, to interject real quick, there's this movie called Fast Food Nation. Didn't you guys see that?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this scene, it's funny as hell, but if it's true, it's gross as hell, but it's still funny the way it's. But if you haven't seen the movie, listeners, it's kind of a behind the scenes, and they say it's based on real life activity, so I'm assuming that it's not too much that's just fiction. Mm. But Greg Kinnear plays the head of like a hamburger, you know, like a McDonald's, Burger King type fast food chain. Anyway, there's this one scene where he's talking to one of the biggest higher-ups, which is a cameo role by Bruce Willis. And Greg Kinnear's like, Now, I've been disturbed by some of the things I've been hearing, and one of them is there's traces of fecal matter in the burgers. And Bruce Willis just smirks and he's like, where have you been? Of course there's shit in burgers. Everybody knows there's shit in burgers. And then as he's saying that, he's like putting the burger up to his mouth. He's like, hey, he just says, as a matter of fact, like, everybody knows there's a little bit of shit. Like, all burgers are like 1% shit.
So, sir, tell us exactly what is in ground beef.
Well, exactly what's in it, I don't know what they put in it, but everything from, but put it like this, when you eat a hamburger, you're not eating from one cow, obviously, eating from multiple cows. So just like you said before, you could have had a retarded cow, a handicapped cow, a sick cow, cow with high blood pressure, cow with some sort of mental disorder, a cow that was under stress when he saw his other friend get his neck cut and all that blood and that stress is in his veins, pound together to make one hamburger. Just like the milk. You're not drinking from one cow, you're drinking from many different cows. You know, and depending how, and put it like this, everyone's had a regular job where you weren't 100% on. You might have let something slide or didn't do the paperwork you should have. Same thing happens in these meat places and these chicken places. You know, and that's the truth. And when I used to go inspect the bodegas, especially, because they were in the hood, I mean, put it like this, there's some bodegas that were operated by people who were Muslim. And me and my friend used to go inspect them. I'm like, wait a minute, you're selling pork, cigarettes, alcohol, but you're Muslim. I mean, they got the pictures up, they got the Arabic music playing, and I'm like, wait a minute, how can you have all this stuff here, but you claim to be Muslim? You wouldn't have this in your neighborhood. That's against your religion. I said, why are you feeding our people poison? Mind you, there were some Muslims who didn't play that. They did not want to have they had halal meat or no pork this or turkey bacon, and so no alcohol. But others would just, whatever you want, they would sell it. You know.
But they would give it to blacks.
Absolutely, and I would get on them. I say, why would you sell that? And he said, well, that's what the neighborhood wants. I said, yeah, that's against your religion.
But you know what? It's just like a Jewish guy that was on my show a couple of weeks ago, and I think that the Jews, the racist Jews, the Goyim or Goya, that's what they term for niggers. And they feel like those are the black sheep. They teach they're the untouchables, that they can give us whatever they want to give us because we are lost, we're ignorant. They took the knowledge and hid it from us. They know we don't know who we are. Many of us don't, and the ones that do know, they don't want us to tear your ass. So they feel like if you ask for chitlins because you're so ignorant and you don't know you're going against your spiritual, psychological, emotional, biological principles to eat these chitlins, even though we know it, hell, it ain't us. So if you want to give us your money and you want to kill yourself, we're going to sell you the poison until you wake up. And if you never wake up, we hope you don't, because that's what keeps us in power, selling you filth.
I mean, if you ever come out to Brooklyn and go out to Crown Heights, that's a predominantly Jewish area. It's mixed, but it's predominantly Jewish. Long story short, me or you, try to go into any, this happened to me and my brother, went into a bakery just for fun because we know what would happen. I mean, everyone literally stopped shopping until we left. I mean, the bakery's good, mind you. I mean, if you want good meat, you go to the kosher meat. Just like you said, they drain the blood. You know, when I was in the Nation of Islam, they said if you can't find a Muslim butcher, you go to a Jewish butcher because they use the same sort of kosher type of process to prepare their meat. So, but for the mere fact that they didn't want us in the store, stop shopping, follow us around, and like you said before, they'll feed you anything. As long as you don't say anything or you don't know anything, they'll give you whatever you want. So
they will give you whatever you want other than what they get. They are not going to teach you the spiritual principles that they hide, that they've taken and they've hidden from you so that you will be able to prolong your life and you will be able to keep your body cleaned out from shit and worm sacks hanging in your intestines and growing in your body. They want you to be dumb. They want you to be weak.
Even when you go to a Chinese restaurant, like the takeout, always notice if you ever see them on their break or eating, they never eat what's on that menu. They always got some sort of rice, some sort of beef or fish or vegetable and some sort of broth. They don't have no General Tso's chicken or chicken wings with fried rice or ribs. They got something like, what is he eating? That looks really good and healthy. And they say, oh, that's something else. But I said, I want that. I said, oh, that's not on the menu. Okay, no problem. I'm like, wow, that looks really healthy.
That's interesting.
Yeah, notice that. I mean, out here in Long Island and Brooklyn, like I said, that's where I travel mostly. I never forget that. Some of the dudes that cook, it'll be like, you know, 'cause they eat from a big, a bowl. So it might be three of us, and we pick from the bowl. So it's vegetables, some sort of meat or fish, and rice. And they're drinking some sort of tea or some sort of cool drink. But it's something that's nutritious. No junk.
You know what? I did that before.